Hello, money queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hey, welcome to Women Behind the Millions. I'm your host, Jessica Weaver. Here we discuss all things power, prosperity, and of course, the color pink. We have an amazing show for you today with a special guest who is one of our amazing, incredible advisors at the Women's Wealth Boutique. But before we dive into there, I want to set the stage for this interview. Every morning before I even get out of bed, I go through prayers and mantras, and that's how we typically start our events at the Women's Wealth Boutique, whether they're for our advisors, our clients, all of our community. And let's really hone in on this and let it be a theme for the show, for your day, the rest of the night as well. So whenever you're going to say a mantra, you really want to take notice of how it feels in your body. And if there's a certain area that you notice it's tense, it's stressed, there's pain, or there's some resistance, and that resistance can feel differently, whether it is the pain or that stress, or your body's trying to fight it, if that makes sense. So as we say them, you can take a deep breath in, and you can put your hand over your heart. And today it's going to be, my body knows what is best for my health and well-being. We tend to forget how intuitive we are as creatures, and we forget that we have all of the answers inside of us. So my body knows what is best for my health and well-being. And you can breathe that in. And maybe there is an area with your health that you have been struggling with. We're going to talk about that today. Maybe there is a health issue, a condition, a back pain, stomach, heart, anything that you're dealing with, and you can't quite pinpoint it. You know something is off. Trust that. Seek help, but also let your body talk to you, and in silence. You know, we're so busy. If we're not at work, we're on Netflix, podcasts, watching the show right now. In silence, and listen to your body and what it's trying to tell you. Do you need rest? Do you need to stretch it? Do you need to eat differently? Is it something that happened a week ago? Usually you can go back about 4 days and pinpoint what it was you were doing that's causing this issue. So my body knows what is best for my health and well-being. I'm going to repeat that for you because that's what we do with these mantras. Usually they're money mantras, but today we're going to focus a little bit more on the health side of things for a few reasons. But one thing that we know, and I've been a wealth advisor for over 13 years now, grew up in the industry, my father's been one for 40 years, is that if something that can take our money, our legacy away, it can be our health. It can be a huge detrimental piece to what you are working so hard to build. And as we're coming into bringing on our featured guest, I keep thinking of the clients that I work with. And most of them I've been working with for several years, over a decade. And a handful of them, about 4 or 5, have been diagnosed with cancer over the last year. And it's been very, very trying time, sad, struggling, trying to keep all of our faith going during this, trying to see questions. Why is this happening to me, to them? What do we need to do for help? Do I need to pray differently? Do I need to do, what can I do to beat this? And when you're in that place, especially when you hear that C word, cancer, you're going to go immediately to what's the worst thing that's going to happen to me, right? We fast forward to there. And some of these clients went into this being very prepared financially. And what that looks like is having, long-term care insurance or coverage, a way to fund a nursing home, assisted living, home health care. Also, on the legal side, with their estate documents, having their wills or power of attorneys, living wills, things already done, set up in place, where I'm also have met their family members so that they know who I am, I know them, we have each other's contact information, we have this relationship, we are there to support their mom, their spouse, their kids, whoever it is. We are a team now. But unfortunately, some of these ladies did not go into this situation being prepared. And they didn't go in being prepared for different reasons. Sometimes we will say they're excuses. It could be they didn't have any loved ones they could lean on. So they didn't know, who can I count on? Who is going to be there for my support? Or they were terrified that they were going to upset a loved one or multiple loved ones as well. And then that adds to stress. And that adds to us not being able to recover or heal as fast. And you can see it's just the cycle that happens. And now you're going into this health scare, crisis, struggle with this added stress on top of it, with this added struggle above and beyond it. And now we're reacting to the situation. Now we have less options available. Now we have to put out fires instead of helping to prepare and prevent them from happening. And one thing that we do know is that long-term care, nursing homes, assisted living, those things, they can tear families apart. Grief can tear families apart. I'm guessing you money queens that are watching this right now, think of how many families do you know that do not talk to each other anymore, siblings, parents, because there was a death in the family and something happened, whether it was the settling of the estate or the decisions that had to be made to take care of the parents financially, medically as well. In-laws get involved, right? And when you look at grief, grief can be a very isolating feeling, right? You're grieving somebody who passed. It's your relationship. It's how you're taking on the loss of this loved one. So it is selfish. Not that selfish is a bad thing, but it's a selfish feeling because it's how sad I am over the loss of this person. So when we're all in these isolated periods of grief, there's going to be fighting, bitterness, resentment, things that build, and it really can tear families apart. So our guest today is all about how can we prepare for these things that are happening, address them head on so you have, one, more options, two, more likely to keep your family together. It's so important. And we don't want your health to tear the family apart, rip the finances away, your legacy either. You know, at the Women's Wealth Boutique, we've been talking about this whole season of your legacy and your estate. And there are really three key pillars that go into this. First is the estate. It's the legal piece, the estate documents, your will, power of attorneys, living wills, medical power of attorneys, beneficiary designations, all of that stuff. The second piece is the funding of your estate, of your legacy. So what assets are left behind to your loved ones or charities? We're working with a client and we're doing a Parkinson's charity and a Jude Children's Hospital charity as well. What a legacy to pass on. What assets are going into there? It could be your house, your car, bank accounts, retirement accounts, 401ks, non-retirement accounts, life insurance. There's so many different assets that can fund this. And then the third piece is your actual legacy, everything that you've worked for, what you've built. So we call this money manifesto. What are your money values? And how do we ensure that those values, this mission that you've been on and building, gets passed down from generation to generation or to nonprofits and charities, and that ripple effect as well with it. So we're going to bring on our guest now after we dove into that so that we can talk about how do we best prepare for our legacy and to be proactive to prevent these fires from taking it away from us. You've worked so hard for them. ladies, haven't we? So let's welcome Amanda Stilwell here today from Clarity Financial Solutions. Come on stage. There's Amanda.
Oh, hey, everybody. I love that.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Here we are. So welcome, Amanda. You joined the Women's Wealth Boutique in early 2023.
Yes.
You have been in the insurance financial world for quite some time as well. We cannot wait for you to share with us what brought you into the industry, the pivots that you've made along the way, and you really have gone from being, we're going to talk about this, being with loved ones as they are saying their final goodbyes, to now helping families prevent as much as possible those as well. And it's not just the financial side of it, is it, Amanda?
That's right. No, it's way more than that. Absolutely.
It is. Now we're going to start off, Amanda, with some trivia questions. Okay. And I have some good confidence in you because I know your background, but you know me, I love some good statistics, some good facts on here. So if you're ready, Amanda, I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Sure. Fire away. Let's go.
All right. Amanda, if you are 65 years or older and collecting Social Security, you must enroll in Medicare Part A. True or false?
False.
You want to explain your answer?
Well, if you have credible coverage, the biggest thing about Medicare is, one thing I can tell you always is it depends. So it really just depends on your employer situation. If you're working with an employer who's over 20 employees in their group, it's an option. But we always recommend people go ahead and file for Part A. There's no cost as long as they have 10 years of work history or 40 quarters. And it just helps them if they need it. But they don't have to. There won't be a penalty if they have credible coverage. But if they don't, there would be one.
Thank you for debunking that, because I feel that is a big myth out there. And everybody hears this penalty and it stays with you the entire time if I don't enroll in time. So if you're employed and you're covered, you do not have to. Awesome, Amanda. All right, you ready for question number 2?
Ready.
Once you enroll in Medicare, what accounts can you no longer contribute to? A, IRA, B, Roth IRA, C, 401k, or D, HSA, Health Savings Account.
Health Savings Account.
Woo! I knew you were going to kill this. Were you a good test taker growing up?
I think once I found my passion, I surely do love this stuff. So yeah.
Oh, you can tell. Ladies, you'll know as we go through this. All right, last question. How many months can you be on hospice for? A, unlimited, B, 2 months, C, 6 months, D, 1 year.
So you can be on hospice unlimited amount of months. There is a qualification that you have to meet to be recertified as what's called hospice appropriate, which is where a medical doctor would say that if a condition would follow its normal trajectory, you would pass away within the next 12 months. But when I worked in hospice, people would come on hospice, go off of hospice, go on hospice. It's all about the individual personally having the hospice support, not just of the nurses, but the entire interdisciplinary team for as long as possible, not just that patient, but the family as well.
Wow. Now, you know quite a bit about hospice, and this is a perfect segue into, tell us about the start of your career, because you haven't always been a financial advisor, insurance representative. Where did you start?
So I started my career in home health and hospice, and doing market development and working with hospice volunteers, actually. So I would teach and train people from a ministry perspective how to come alongside people and just be present. So active listening and understanding things to be looking for, understanding that family members need a break when they're loving on people that are dying. That's how I started. I did not used to dream about being in financial services, but I love what I get to do now.
It does seem to be a very big second career for women.
Yeah.
Right? Teachers beforehand, accountants, lawyers, spoken with, having that history in hospice. That is a huge background to jumpstart you into helping people when it's coming, leading up to that ahead of time. So what made you switch from being there servicing in the hospice arena to now switching gears?
So the agency that I worked for had all lines of care. So hospice all the way down to just hourly home care and everything in between. So unfortunately, oftentimes there was a loved one, a patient of this agency that could not go home and care for themselves and currently resided in a skilled nursing facility receiving rehabilitation. And that magic day of discharge came, and they didn't know how they were going to care for their family member. Maybe the bedroom was on the second floor. Maybe all the children were out of town, or loved ones. Maybe the loved ones that were in town were in their working years, right? Still trying to prepare for their retirement or care for their own children. And the problem solving that would go on around these tables was really heartbreaking. I watched families just break into arguments, lots of tears, not to mention the fact that the loved one is dealing with either critical, chronic, or terminal illness. On top of all of these things, right, the elephant in the room isn't going away. This isn't something that they can put off anymore. They have to come up with a solution. And we at the agency would help them do that, whether it would be hourly or home health care, or if they did qualify for hospice, getting the interdisciplinary team in there. But lots of good things I saw, like you were mentioning in the introduction, families who are prepared, and lots of, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this wasn't covered with Medicare or with insurance. So I just couldn't hear that anymore. I just really wanted to prevent these families from suffering. So the more I knew, the more I felt like I had to share with people in my community, not just people who were going through this.
So it sounds like you were educating before you even became an advisor, as you learned and gained knowledge and experience. The most we're going to learn the most when we are hands-on going through these situations with family members.
That's right.
As well. There does seem to be a huge gap in that knowledge. Everyone, Social Security is confusing, Medicare, Medicaid, it's extremely confusing for people. Right. And there's not a formal education on it. There's seminars, classes here and there, and then it changes as well. Taxes change, premiums change. So it's constantly having to stay up to date on these pieces of it. What was it like to make that huge switch?
It was hard. Anyone that works in financial services, I think, that doesn't constantly seek to know more is doing themselves and their clients a disservice. But I poured into just Medicare. I figured if I could just learn all the ins and outs of helping people map out their health expenses, knowing what's covered, what's not. So I did spend a great deal of time on studying outside of working with people. Okay. And then holistically moving into understanding how all of the things that are not covered by Medicare have to be brought in to discuss when this happens. Now we're going to need to go into these accounts. So it was an organic kind of process to get to be a holistic advisor, but you can't not know about someone's assets until you know you can't give good advice. If I don't know how much money they make on their tax returns, I can't tell them what they're going to pay for their Medicare Part B. If I don't know how much earned income someone is drawing off of in retirement, I can't tell them how much Social Security is going to be taxed. So, there's just so many little gotchas in retirement that don't have to be there, but like you were saying, without the education, you retire once, right? So you don't study this. You assume I'm going to save money. I'm going to put my head down, go to work, and save for when my retirement. I don't really want to talk about my health care or what might happen, because that makes me uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a hard transition, but it was also very rewarding, because when I would talk to someone about their financial picture and bring up questions they had never been asked before, why hasn't someone ever told me about long-term care, that it's tax-free if I use it, that it can be passed to my beneficiaries if I don't? Why didn't anyone tell me that, I could do a Roth conversion and pull money out tax-free to help pay for long-term care? Or once again, it passes to my beneficiaries tax-free if I don't use it. All these things in the distribution phase of life, that if you don't know them, they can really impact the legacy that you leave behind. So it was a stressful transition, just because it's a lot, right? But it was also and continues to be very rewarding.
I can tell. And you can just see, as you're talking about this, the passion and just being so heart-led and driven as you're working with these people. It's amazing. We go through school for the first quarter of our life, let's say, if even that, right? First 20% of our life. Then there's really no education on, you get a job, what do you do with the money? What do you do with the benefits, 401ks, health insurance, all of those pieces? And then you go into, now I have to take all this money out of the accounts, make sure I have enough to live off of, enough to pay for things like long-term care, taxes as tax rates keep going up, inflation, market volatility. There's still no education on this. So you and your team at Clarity make it one of your priorities, if you want to go into this, on how do you bring this education to people? Because we want people to be informed so they can make really strong, good decisions for themselves. Well.
And they're unique, right? I mean, we ask lots of questions and listen to fears, concerns, desires, and then spend time backing up and making sure we educate on all things that you're not going to know until you need to know them, right? So, for instance, at day 100, after I'm hospitalized for 3 consecutive days, I can go to a skilled nursing facility and spend 100 days getting rehab. But after day 100, if I can't go home and care for myself, all of that cost is on me, right? Which can be astronomical. So little things like that. We spend a great deal of time educating employer groups, educating our community. I just did a wonderful seminar on taxes and retirement. And you can think, how can that possibly be entertaining? But it was fascinating to see 30 people both nights in a row scribbling notes, taking pictures of things. These are well-educated people who, like you said, they went to work, they saved a lot of money, they wanted to prepare, and they did. But now they are facing this unknown, and they're scared, and they shouldn't be. They don't have to be. We can the way I view us, Jess, is like, we're navigators, right? We put on our conductor hat and get on the train, let's go. So we're going to help them know where we're going, but why we're doing what we're doing, why we're taking the route we're taking, why are we doing a Roth conversion, why are we doing, these systematic things over time in the distribution phase to mitigate these potholes that oftentimes, or fires, like you said, that can incinerate families. And it is so, it's really sad. But lots of seminars, lots of podcasts, lots of writing. My fellow author, best-selling author and friend. So anything I can do. The way I view it is, if I can serve my community, make somebody better with the education that I can give them, because it doesn't do any good if it's just in my head. And then, you know what, if a client wants to work with me, awesome. I've just made my community better, their life better, and then my family's life better.
Better, stronger, more secure, and that frees them up. What would you say, Amanda, are the biggest, we talk about they're scared. What are the big fears that people are facing? And we're talking about people coming into retirement or in retirement and towards like 60s, 70s, 80s kind of.
So I watch a lot of people who have saved money and done very well.
Mm-hmm.
They have pensions, they have Social Security, and they are petrified to use their money in the market. They are so scared they're pulling it out at the wrong time. They're pulling it out of the wrong accounts. They don't know what to do, or they just know this is how much money I need for my family's vacation this year. But maybe we just won't go because the market's down. And that's not the way it should be. What I have found is if you can, through conversation and through psychology, right, finance, and the plan is there, we're going to plan the work and we're going to work the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep them knowing we're doing the right thing. This is why we're doing it. It's going to be okay. A lot of people, they're scared. The number one thing, they're going to run out of money. Right. And I see some people who are more frightened of not being able to leave a legacy than they are that they themselves can have a great retirement. Right. Maybe they didn't have any money left to them and they had to work really hard.
So leaving that next generation in a better position
mm-hmm.
than they were left in,
mm-hmm.
having money for other people to inherit. Mm-hmm. As well. Do you see men and women's fears being different?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
But it could be different in a relationship. So usually it's just the partners are different, right? It could be the husband is the spender and the wife is the one that's more concerned about legacy. It could be reversed. But usually when couples come in my office, it's one of the other. They're not on the same page. And so really that's a big part of having an advisor is being on their side of the table and working with them to move in a direction that benefits them both. It can accomplish both of their wants and needs. And once they see that, oh my gosh, through a plan, they can actually visualize themselves being okay into retirement. Their shoulders drop, like you were doing meditation. Their breath changes. They look forward to coming to the office because they're not scared of what's behind the curtain. That's one of the biggest joys of my life is to be able to watch that body language change. Mm-hmm. When you have people who have done all the right things, they have checked the boxes. And then they've entered into the area where they're not scared to talk about it in front of their loved ones. And then they can, with an advisor, see, with the conductor, right, with our they can see how having a plan is going to get them to where they want to go. And if there are things that need to be tweaked, doing it before something that jumps up and gets them out of the bushes, right? This is not the boogeyman. We know things that can happen. So let's put this plan under stress before it happens. Be proactive.
Oh, very good. Yes. I was just meeting with a couple and I asked them, how they feel about money, what money doesn't, it's always stress. We're scared. We're arguing over it. And I brought up, what about if money could be fun? They go, you never even thought money could be fun. Like, what? Yeah. We could make it a game. And the husband's like, we can make it a game? I'm in. Whatever we need to do. And I brought up the dials and everything that we work with. He goes, it feels like a video game now. I buy in. But he said, we tested. And I was explaining to them how we tested in 3 different manners. And it's not just something that is thrown together. There's some real strategy behind every different component of their plan as it's coming together and for it as well.
Yeah, and it's just a tool. Money is just a tool, and we have to understand that, there's misconceptions out there. There's bad advice. There's radio. There's so many things that you read and hear, and you just don't understand. And so I think people, when they don't understand, what I have found in my practice is when they're scared or they don't understand something, they become paralyzed. And so they make no movement or they make a really bad choice. Mm-hmm. So like I was saying, if with with that right kind of conversation, we can move them along to making decisions, moving in the right direction. We can always change things in the future. Like you said, estate documents, just getting those conversations started, understanding beneficiaries. I mean, that we know lots of, anyone can Google how many court cases have been done because someone was no longer married to the person on their life insurance policy. I mean, it's scary, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
No, it doesn't. I'm curious, Amanda, what was the biggest money struggle or block that you've had to overcome? And maybe it's, stepping into being the CEO of your business, helping other people manage their money. What's something, or maybe it's a recurring thing that comes up for you?
Just making sure money stays in its right place in my life.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So like I said, money's a tool. I think anytime we become more, so the way that I work with a coach who helps me with my business and everything, because a lot of it is our thought and our emotions that will block us from moving forward with money or with life decisions that come because of money choices. Some people don't have the choice, but all money is a tool. Once again, I have to think of it the way my mind works and my heart is, the more people I help, the more people I can help. And instead of the more money I make, the more money I can invest in my business. I don't know why that is with me, but I had to work through that. So not living in a place of scarcity, but in a place of abundance, and knowing that, once again, if I just continue to help the people in my community, what will come of it will come of it. It's a plan, just like I do with my clients. I plan the work, I work the plan. But it does come at a cost of work, of putting my thoughts, my emotions, even my preconceived ideas, out there, and then working through them diligently, methodically, to get on the other side of it, to be able to receive what's coming.
Amazing. We do seem to notice a shift, whereas before, don't talk about money. Years ago, don't talk about money. It's big faux pas, taboo. The emotions, bury those deep down. We're not going to talk about those either. You're just going to have to figure it out by yourself as well. So when you talk about working through those emotions, you're doing some journal work, I'm guessing. So, speaking out loud, forgiveness. What are those different practices that you implement?
So talking with someone, talking with successful other women they're willing to share their life, but being careful who's in your circle, and being careful to guard their hearts as well as your own. I think, of course, journaling, being challenged, being okay to take advice and from people younger than you, from people older than you, seeking to know more, reading, all the things that we do at Women's Wealth Boutique. But, even in my close sphere of friends, you have to be very careful of who you let in your life. Truly, I mean, I have lots of acquaintances and people that I love dearly that are in my community. But, as a Southerner, I was born in South Carolina, you're not supposed to talk about money. You're not supposed to divulge what you're doing with your money or how to make yourself better. It's just like this humble pie kind of thing. And I love humility, but I also think that if you can, like I said in the beginning, if you can keep money in its right place, and it's not the love of the money, but it's love of what you can do with the tool, then you can change. Once your heart's in the right place, everything will happen that's supposed to. But Yeah, I mean, lots of prayers too. I mean, I'm blown away. I did not think I was going to work in this career. The fact that I can go into my community, serve, do amazing work, not just with my clients, but with others that I can donate to, etc. I can do wonderful work, but I can also make a wonderful living.
Yes.
When I was growing up, I didn't know that was possible. I thought in order to do well, I had to be like a tycoon business owner that didn't care about people. That to be on Wall Street meant to throw out your emotion, right? And that's not true. I mean, through work, through the right or the right people in your world, you can do both. And trusting yourself to walk into it and not being scared of success and of helping other people be successful.
Yes. Yes. Amen to that. The right people in your group, be careful with who you're sharing your energy with. And I like that this very powerful shift of keeping money in its right place. And at first I'm like, she mean account, right? Bank account. How are you viewing money? Are you worshiping money, or are you chasing money? Or are you chasing the results that you can have, the impact, the change in your community, the change in your family because of that resource? And to me, we're a part of, we talk about power, prosperity, and pink. That's power, that's prosperity right there. That's the divine feminine. That's what we refer to when we think of pink. That there's so much impact we can have, right? Women give back 4 times more than men. And it's not that men don't give back, but we are always thinking about everybody else besides us. And as more wealth comes into your world, you can do so much incredible things with it. Even if it's building your business, now you've employed women. Now you've empowered them. You can help guide them. They become leaders. They're earning more money. They're taking care of their families, their communities as well. And then, our clients, there's such a ripple effect with positivity around money that I love. And I love you bringing you on here. And you're also one of our financial trendsetters in our new best-selling book, Financial Trendsetters, launching February 2024. Can you share with us, Amanda, what your chapter in this Financial Trendsetters book is going to be about?
Sure. A little teaser. It's my chapter is about listening to your heart and not thinking that if you didn't study it in college, you're not going to be equipped to do whatever it is in front of you to do. I didn't start working in financial services till all my children, who are all in their 20s now, were in their teens. I mean, well, the youngest one was in their teens. The oldest one was in their 20s when I started. But I fought with myself on the ability to walk into something because it was a lot. I didn't understand it. It was confusing. Could I really do this? Could I really have this other career? So it's about my story, my path of getting into financial services, but whoever the reader is can put themselves in those shoes of where am I today? Where is this guiding me? And am I okay with myself enough to do the work I need to do, the extra studying, the extra learning, to get where I want to go, to be the person I'm supposed to be, to have the purpose or fulfill the purpose that I'm on the planet to have and to do. And so, yes, for me, it was putting out fires for families and educating people on educational topics such as Social Security, long-term care, Medicare, required minimum distribution planning, things like that, but then leading into how I impact families too. Do you hear these dings? It's not ideas in my head. These are people who don't know what I called.
Boom, fireworks.
They were. But there's another one. It's like someone's getting their angel wings each time. But anyway, so that's my story. People, women, not being afraid to get inside of a man's world and shake it up.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I can't wait to get your chapter out there to the world, to these amazing women. And what a powerful message, because that happens to women. And I think every 5-10 years, women do kind of shed a skin and they're stepping into something else.
100%.
And there can be so much fear around, especially when you're building something of your own. So much fear around that as well. So I'm so glad, so grateful that this story is going to be out there for all these women to read. We're going to do a quick commercial break. Stay with us because we have Amanda's hot money tip coming up. We have her financial trend that's happening with women she's going to share, and then a little guided meditation at the end as a special gift. So stay with us, Money Queens. We will be right back with you.
So what are the real reasons people are having these feelings or having these repeating patterns of money issues? And I wanted to dig deep into those areas. What are the triggers? What are the emotions? Let's actually have some healing instead of just doing a quick fix. So having those two different kind of conflicts in me, I decided, I begged my father, can I just focus on women? Can I reach women? Can I dig deep with them? Have events for women? That spurred my first book, Strong Women, Stronger Assets, my second book, Time to Refine, and then finally Confessions of a Money Queen. And so here I am, not your father's advisor, years later, opening up the Women's Wealth Boutique, the fastest growing female-owned firm in the nation. But we're also a multimedia firm because our goal is to get resources, financial education, literacy out to women. Even one of our biggest viewers for our blog is in underdeveloped countries, for women, getting them the financial resources that they don't have access to at all. So you can work with us as a one-on-one capacity as a full-time client, or you can be part of our community just with our events, our books, our online courses. There's so many different ways to get engaged with us. So one, we focus on women and we will not apologize for it, but also we are a multimedia firm, which is very different than the traditional financial advisory offices you see.
Join us for our Financial Trendsetters Gala May 2nd here in New Jersey as we raise money for a scholarship. For tickets, head to jessicaweaver.com.
All right, we are back with Amanda Stilwell of Clarity. She is one of our amazing advisors at the Women's Wealth Boutique. Do not worry, ladies. We are going to have a QR code for her shortly where you can learn more about Amanda. Here, she's got an incredible story. She is one of the most passionate advisors I've ever had the pleasure of working with. So now we're going to move on to Amanda's hot money tip. Woo, there's a ticker, hot money tip. We always want to, wait, what's the sexy money move? What's the secret that I'm not into? So Amanda, is there a money strategy, tip, secret that you live and die by that you share with all of your clients? I want to hear it now.
Yes. So my is conversions, Roth conversions, tax-free money. Okay. People do not understand the power of tax-free money. You know what I mean? It's not my clients. It's not, and anyone that I talk to, it's not how many dollars you have. It's how many pennies of that dollar do you keep.
So, there you go. Let's talk about this. So what do you mean? What is a Roth conversion first?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people can, we contribute to an IRA or a traditional IRA while we're working 401k, et cetera, and we get a tiny little tax deduction each year, okay? And it's deferred, and then when we draw it out in retirement, we pay tax on it. Other people, depending on their income though, and that's the caveat, can contribute to a Roth. So you have to make sure that you know what the income limits are. Higher wage earners cannot. They cannot contribute to a Roth. So oftentimes they think the only solution is the traditional IRA or the 401 that's offered at their 403B, et cetera, at work. Not the case. Anyone can convert. So it's not a contribution, but so I've contributed to my traditional IRA given within the limits of each year. I then am able to decide how much, any amount, but that much I'm going to pay tax on that year. So it's going to be added, whatever I draw out to convert from traditional to Roth is going to be taxed at whatever income tax bracket I'm at that year. But When I leave that money into a Roth for 5 years, because you have to before you draw it back out, it is tax-free, not only the money that I've put in, but all the growth as well. So not only is that beneficial, obviously, as we don't know what future taxation will be, but is the only other way that I can leave to my heirs tax-free outside of life insurance. So for my clients who are the biggest, I will say a mistake that comes along with this is not understanding what that conversion can do to your Part B, to your Part D, to your taxation. So you always want to consult your CPA, but understanding that the opportunity for you to grow money tax-free is there is a huge differentiator in the distribution phase. Huge.
Yes. Thank you for explaining that. Roth conversions. Now you convert, Amanda, a 403B, a 401k, as well as an IRA to a Roth?
Well, you can roll it into a traditional, but you can convert it to. You can open it up. Anything that's outside, when your decision to move it from that 401 to wash the tax and put it into a Roth, be done. So it's just a matter of you understanding my taxable consequence that year that I start the Roth, and then also making sure I'm going to be able to leave it in there for 5 years and not needing that money right back, because they can get you that way.
Yes. Do you want to retire with a partner who is Uncle Sam? Or do you want to retire partner free and have the freedom to use all 100% of your money, not just 50, 70% of your money, because the other amount is going to go to taxes as well. And it's so important. I'm going to reiterate this. Speak with a professional, a financial advisor, an accountant, have them work together. You work very well with accountants.
I love to.
What's the impact today, the future, and because usually this is going to be a longer term strategy. It's not, you're going to do it once. It's going to be over multiple years. Yeah. What's the plan? What's the meat of it? There's going to be structure behind it. I love structure. I love geeking out on this, Amanda. I'm glad you brought this tip up. We don't talk about it enough. Work with somebody on it. All right. Next up, we have what's a financial trend that you are seeing with women lately? I can't wait. I don't know where you're going to go with this.
Dun, dun, dun. So for me, I am seeing women kind of perk up, come to the edge of their seats, want to know more. Education. I feel like, especially in married couples, I see a lot of women taking a back seat to even handling not to know how much, but what are we doing with it, and what's women are not afraid to ask those questions anymore. But then even a separate, I guess, really cool trend to see is women not being afraid to make an impact in their community. In my community, there's an organization called Greenville Women Giving. And so it's a group of women that come together. We have a minimum gift each year, and then we gift to our community. And it's amazing the millions of dollars that have been given. But what I see is inside of those circles, women talking about money, learning to be more successful, learning to leverage relationships in a positive way, lifting each other up. It's cool to watch when I'm with a group of friends and a few of them want to talk about money, ideas, stocks, funds, and not just, other things that we have talked about in the past. What are we doing this weekend? What you making for dinner tonight?
Amazing, Amanda.
Not important, because they certainly are. I love to eat, but it's also important to know that we can talk about the complex stuff too.
We certainly can. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for being on here, Amanda. Let's throw up her information right there. There's a QR code. Scan it. Bring you to her bio on the womenswealthboutique.com website. Her contact information is there. She's incredible. Ladies, follow her, reach out to her, follow Clarity. It's amazing. They're a diamond is their brand. It's amazing. Clarity Cut. We all love that. So make sure to get in touch with Amanda. She is incredible. Her services, her team, just so helpful. Education is their priority first and foremost. So thank you for Amanda so much for being on here. We have a little bit of time left. We're going to do our brief meditation around our health, doing kind of a health scan of our body real quick. And shout out to our course Lift, which is a 10-week course with money meditations, journal work, what Amanda was talking about earlier, right? How do we move through these emotional blocks so that we're open up to that prosperity, that abundance, that flow? So thank you so much for Amanda for being on Women Behind the Millions. We're going to do a health body scan right now, ladies, and then we'll be wrapping up our show. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Awesome. So everybody who is still tuned in, just get comfortable on a seat, close your eyes. And again, whether you put your hands on your heart or let them fall to your side, we're just going to do a body scan to see. Remember our mantra, right? My body knows what is best for my health and well-being. And as you say that mantra, breathe in and out. And let's see, let's relax our head, our ears, our jaw. We tighten up our jaw when we are stressed. Relax our neck, your shoulders, upper arms, forearms, hands and wrists. Relax your chest, your upper back, your belly. Breathe in and let that belly expand. We keep them so tight. Breathe in and sink your hips. Let your hips get heavy on your chair. Relax your legs, and then down to your feet. Feel that strong earth below your feet support you. My body knows what is best for my health and well-being. What is your body asking of you right now? What does it need from you? And sit here as long as you need. Breathe into it. And I want you to know that you are worthy of good health. You are worthy of protection. You are worthy of wealth. You are worthy. And with that, ladies, we will see you on the next episode of Women Behind the Millions. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Amanda's incredible story. Be on the lookout for Financial Trendsetters coming out February 2024. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you, Money Queens. Thank you again, Amanda and Clarity, for being here with us. It's been such a pleasure. We love spending time with you. Thank you to all of our viewers, our listeners here at Women Behind the Millions.
Hey, Money Queens, looking to get your wealth to that next level, 7, 8, 9 figures? Follow us on Instagram at PinkFixMyMoney and at Women's Wealth Boutique for more millionaire money tips.